Hi there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm doing a 10 cards, 1 kit series featuring the My Monthly Hero April 2018 kit. This is part 1 of a 2-part series in which I will show you cards 1 through 5. Before I start making the cards, let's take a look at what comes in the kit. First off, I'm pulling out the 3 6 inches by 18 inches. They're sheets of mulberry paper, basically. Now, they call them something different on the website. I can't even pronounce it, but basically, if you've been crafting any length of time, you've seen these before. I've been paper crafting for a good 10 plus years, and this is basically a mulberry paper. It's very fibrous. It's beautiful. Next, I'll show you the 3 reactive ink cubes, and those are in the colors Fiesta Yellow, Fiesta Red, and Fiesta Teal. They're super pretty. We're going to do some sponging and stuff later with those. Now on to the kit, or the stamp set. It's wrapped up with some very pretty organdy ribbon, and we'll try and use that too. And there is the stamp set. It's huge. It's a 6 by 8 inch clear stamp set, and it comes with coordinating dies. I think there's about 20 of the coordinating dies, and then this really pretty ornate floral border die. I just love their packaging, how they put it all together, and yeah. So this kit, it retails for $34.99, and as of now, as of filming, it is still available. But all this stuff combined in the kit is actually worth about $75, so it's a good deal for this kit. So let's move on to card number 1. I'm starting with some Neenah Desert Storm cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and I'm going to score that at 5.5 inches to make it a top folding A2 size card. And I've grabbed some teal mulberry paper, and I'm going to trim some of that down to about the front of the card there, 5.5 by 4 1/4 inches. I put a little water on my mat, and I'm going to paint that onto the sides in order to tear the paper, and then it'll really show off those pretty fibers. And I'm going to do this on 3 sides. I love the tear because, like I said, it really shows off the pretty fibers because they leave behind that really neat look. And I'm only doing it on the 3 sides. And I'm going to attach that with my tape runner. I don't think you'd really want to use a liquid adhesive with this. It could potentially seep through, but the tape runner works out really well. After I'm done attaching that, I'm going to cut a panel from some Neenah Solar White cardstock using an old Spellbinders Nestabilities number 11 die, and then I'm going to cut that in half later. I'm going to stamp some the cake image and one of the sentiments onto some Neenah Solar White cardstock, and then I'm going to color those off screen. And I'm not going to show you the coloring because it's pretty basic. Those are smaller images, so it doesn't take a whole lot of shading or whatnot to do that. And then I will use the coordinating die and run that through my Sizzix side kick. And now, using some of the organdy ribbon that comes in the kit, I'm going to tie that around, and then I'm going to make a little bow here in a second. And I'm only adhering that right there at that edge because I'm going to cover that with the panel, and I'm also going to cover it with the bow. I'm going to adhere that white panel with some liquid adhesive, and then I'm going to adhere the cake and the sentiment with some foam tape here. I'm using that as the Tombow Mono Multi. Good strong liquid adhesive. And then I'm using Scotch foam tape. And once those are adhered, I'm going to adhere my bow with a little bit of liquid adhesive. It's actually a tacky glue. But you're not going to see it. I'll trim off the excess there. And stick that bow down and put a stamp block on top of it to keep it there. Once that's dry, I will stamp the inside with another sentiment. And then I'm going to finish off my card with some Petal Pink liquid pearls, just to add a little bit more embellishment. And that is going to finish off card number 1. Moving on to card number 2, I'm going to start by stamping the banner and the sentiment and the succulents on some Neenah Solar White cardstock with some Copic friendly ink, which that is some Fawn jet black ink there. And once I get all of those stamped, I'm going to color those off screen. And the reason I'm doing that off camera is because I want this video or these videos to be more of a focus on just the ideas, card ideas themselves. But I will have all the colors listed in my blog description. So now I've run that through my Sizzix Sidekick, and I'm going to do that repeatedly till I get all of those succulents cut out. And I've grabbed a piece of Hero Art's Woodgrain cardstock, which is really beautiful. You can't really tell right there, but it's really pretty. And I've cut that down to 4 inches by 5.5. And I'm going to adhere all of my images with some foam tape. I really love that wood grain. It gives just such an elegant look to the background. It would be pretty on plain white cardstock, but wow, that wood grain is really pretty. And then once I'm done adhering all of those, I'm going to go ahead and adhere the card panel to the top of an top folding A2 card base with some foam tape as well. And then I'll move on to the inside, and I'm just going to glue down those last 3 succulents with some liquid glue. The liquid glue will keep them in place better than a tape runner would. And, you know, I really do enjoy doing the insides of my cards. It's just a nice finishing touch. And so once I'm done with that, that will finish off card number 2. For card number 3, I want to do a little scene building. So I'll use a piece of Post-it tape to tape down my card panel and to block off the top of my card so that I can start building my ground. To do that, I am going to sponge on some ink onto the panel with a mini ink blending tool and that Fiesta yellow that comes in the kit. It's a really, really pretty color, and it won't blend really beautifully right away, but I believe that's because I have a new ink sponge. And so eventually, you know, with more use, that sponge will work beautifully to blend that ink out. But I did go heavy-handed because I wanted it to be a good solid ground. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and remove my Post-it tape, and I'm going to try to place it down over the ground after I can get that other one open. So I'll try to put it down over the ground, but that's not going to work. I discover it here in a second when I try to start blending. It won't stick, and that's because the ink is still wet. See, it's not sticking and it's kind of bugging me. So I finally figure it out, and I pull off the Post-it tape and I hit it with my heat tool. And then once I have that pretty well dry, I'll try again. I'll put that Post-it tape down and I'll notice it sticks much better. And I will start ink blending again. And that color that I'm using is the Fiesta Red that comes in the kit. It's a little splotchy. Once again, that's because it's a new sponge, but I don't really mind. I think it kind of adds to the background a little bit, gives it more of a, I don't know, some sort of an ambiance back there. You'll see once you take a look at what I do with the card. So I'll take that off, and I'm going to now stamp the sweet little dancing mouse 3 times on some Copic friendly paper. And that's Neenah Solar White. And I'll color those off screen again, and I'll run those through my Sizzix Sidekick with their matching die. I've been so impressed with how beautifully the dies match up with these little images. They just cut like a dream, leaving a nice white border around each image. And I've been very happy. So to build my scene, I'm going to first go ahead and decide where I want them, and then I'll figure that, because I want to pop these up with some foam tape, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment first. I'll do that on that front panel. And because I already have all my supplies out, I'll do it on the inside as well. And that my card base is some Neenah Desert Storm. It's an A2 size card, it's just side folding. And then I'll adhere my white panel with some Tombow Mono Multi, because I want it to be flat. And I'll use some foam tape on the mice, and I'm going to stagger them to make it kind of appear as though the mouse in the middle is in the front of the other two. Like they're a cute little dancing group. And once I have those adhered, I decide that I need to give it a little bit more grounding so that the mice don't just look like they're floating there. So I add some Copic E42 under each of them just to give it a little bit of shadow. And when I'm done with that, that's actually going to finish off card number 3. For card number 4, I went ahead and die cut the ornate floral border die that came in the set out of some white cardstock. And now I'm going to stamp the bird and the banner and the sentiment on some Copic friendly paper there. And I'll color those, and then I'll run them through my Sidekick. I'm not showing the coloring because they're small images and there isn't a whole lot to it. It's actually really simple coloring. You can see the colors sitting there. Like I said, I will have them listed on my blog or even down below in the description box. So once those are all cut out, I'm going to use some multimedia matte gel to go ahead and adhere that intricate banner die or border die. I don't put glue all over, I just put it on the big places and parts where I think it might stick up, because if I were to try to glue on every piece, I think the glue would be dry by the time I tried to get it adhered to the front of my card panel, which that panel is a Neenah Desert Storm card base. And then I'll use the liquid glue to adhere those last 2 colored images. I wanted this to be a fairly flat card. And that will finish off card number 4. We're cruising now. For card number 5, I trimmed down some of the purple mulberry paper, and I'm going to use the same technique that I did in card number 1 with the water and the paintbrush. So I will spritz a little bit of water on my craft mat, grab a paintbrush, and I will run it down the center there. I love the look that it gives when you tear it, because those fibers, it's so different than just regular paper. And once I decide where I want it, I'm going to adhere it down with my tape runner right there to the front. And that card base is, again, Neenah Desert Storm. And I'll grab some Copic friendly paper, and then I'm going to stamp 3 of the cactus images from the set and 2 pot images. I'm going to do that several times because I want quite a few cactus. Or cacti. Whatever you want to call them. And then off camera, again, I'll color those with my Copics. And I'm going to run those through my Sizzix Sidekick with their matching dies. The pots, they don't have dies, so I'm just going to fussy cut those, and they're not intricate images, so it's not a big deal. I don't mind fussy cutting those. And it's at this time that I realized that there was yet another cactus image that I hadn't seen. And so I am grabbing that one. I'm going to stamp it a couple times along with a couple more pots. I'll color those and do the same exact thing. For each of the pots, I use my X-Acto knife and a self-healing mat to cut some slits in the pots so that my cactus will fit inside them. I want them each to look like potted cactus. And it's really simple. And so then I will assemble those to see how they'll look. And then I'll put foam tape on the back of each of those. Now I screwed up by putting foam tape on all the images. When I'm pulling out that foam tape, it's like I'm in a different world and I just go. So I adhered it to all of them, not meaning to do that. I really wanted to save 3 of those to put on the inside of my card, but I wasn't thinking. So I will save those 3 cactus that are sitting off to the side. I'll save those for another card in part 2. But after I realized what I had done, and I thought, oh man, I thought, well, maybe I can put those on the front of this card as well. And you'll see it just ends up looking like probably way too many cactus on the front of the card. And it covers up too many of the other ones as well. So you can tell I'm like, oh, whoops. And I'm like, that's just too many. So I'll save those. You'll see them again. And I go ahead and stamp my sentiment using the same ink I've been using, and then I'm going to color it in with a white gel pen. It just made the sentiment pop when I did that. And that is actually going to finish off card number 5. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 5 cards that I made here. That's card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4, and card 5. I'd love to know which one is your favorite. But as I said, this is a part 1 of a part 2 series where I make 10 cards with 1 kit. Part 2 will be coming along shortly, so hit the like button below and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss anything. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by.